You've seen them. A lion, frozen mid-roar. A gorilla, broad-chested and brooding. An elephant, charging forward, forever still, behind glass, inside a museum. They feel real, too real. But behind their sculpted muscle and glass eyes lies a story. A story of one man who devoted his life to capturing what the world was losing. This is Inventing America, the podcast that uncovers the lives behind forgotten inventions, and the inventors who made the invisible unforgettable. Today, a taxidermist who was more than a technician, a hunter who became a preservationist, a visionary who turned extinction into education. This is the sculptor of extinction. Carl Ethan Akeley was born in 1864 in Clarendon, New York, a town of dirt roads, quiet fields, and abundant wildlife. He grew up with a rifle in one hand and a sketch pad in the other. Even as a child, Carl didn't just observe animals. He studied them. He memorized the way a fox's muscles bunched before a leap. He sketched birds in flight until his pencil dulled. He once dissected a squirrel, not out of cruelty, but curiosity, to understand how life moved beneath the skin. By 16, he had joined the staff at Ward's Natural Science Establishment in Rochester, New York, the go-to place for universities and museums seeking taxidermy specimens. It was there he encountered the method used to preserve animals at the time: crude, flat-eyed mounts stuffed with straw and sawdust. Akeley was appalled. Dead skin thrown over sawdust, he called it. Nothing more than a lie wrapped in fur. But then he had an idea. What if taxidermy could become sculpture? What if we could rebuild life, not guess at it? Akeley's first great opportunity came under the big top. P.T. Barnum, yes, that Barnum, hired him to preserve Jumbo, the famous African elephant crushed in a tragic railroad accident. The challenge? The elephant's body was mangled, nearly destroyed. Akeley salvaged what he could. Then, using clay, wire, wood, and ingenuity, he built a body, not a bag to stuff, but an anatomically correct frame. He studied elephant musculature obsessively. He sculpted the contours of each leg and flank with precision. The result? The most lifelike elephant ever mounted. And with that, Carl Akeley transformed taxidermy into an art form. More than that, he had created a method, a new technology. Clay models based on dissection and anatomical precision. Flexible armatures. Layered padding. Strategic placement of muscle bulges beneath the hide. This was no longer imitation. This was reconstruction. But Akeley's ambitions went far beyond elephants in circuses. He needed to see animals in motion, in life, in danger. So he went to Africa. Over the next 2 decades, he would travel there 5 times. His expeditions were part collection mission, part survival trial. He fought off a leopard with his bare hands, killing it only after it had slashed his scalp and torn his arm. He battled malaria, gangrene, elephant charges, and quicksand. On one trip, he broke his leg and set it himself. But these weren't just adventures for the sake of glory. Akeley needed to study his subjects in their environments, to see how a gorilla moved through mist, how a lion stalked in the shadows, how a herd of elephants communicated in silence. He took copious notes, thousands of photographs, dozens of field sketches. He filled journals with color palettes for savanna grasses and mountain moss. For Akeley, taxidermy was no longer just about animals. It was about place, about ecology. And that insight gave rise to something extraordinary. Back in New York, Akeley joined the American Museum of Natural History. His vision: immersive, full-scale dioramas, museum exhibits that didn't just show animals, but habitats. He wanted dirt from the savannah, tree trunks from the Ituri forest, background paintings that wrapped around the viewer's periphery like sky. He invented custom lighting rigs to simulate dawn. He pioneered layering techniques to create the illusion of distance and wind. His teams included artists, botanists, zoologists, sculptors, and engineers. The result was unlike anything ever attempted: the Akeley Hall of African Mammals. Step inside it, even today, and you feel it. The stillness, the awe. Each exhibit is a moment in time, rendered with breathtaking realism. A herd of elephants stands as they would in the wild, surrounded by their native grasses. A group of gorillas huddles in mist-shrouded bamboo. A cheetah's stride is frozen mid-chase. These weren't just exhibits. They were arguments, emotional appeals, calls to action. But the man who once wrestled leopards was changing. Each trip to Africa left Akeley more disturbed by what he saw: deforestation, poaching, the disappearance of species. He began to write about conservation. He lobbied for the protection of gorillas. He spoke to Congress, to the public, to anyone who would listen. He saw his dioramas not as trophies, but as warnings. "If we fail to preserve," he wrote, "then let us at least remember." His final journey to Africa was not for collection, but for protection. He helped establish Albert National Park in what is now the Democratic Republic of Congo, Africa's first national park. It would become a haven for the mountain gorilla, whose survival owes much to Akeley's advocacy. He died there in 1926 from illness and exhaustion on the slopes of Mount Makino. He was buried where he fell, beneath the gaze of the gorillas he had once hunted and later fought to save. Carl Akeley's legacy is all around us, though most don't see it. In every lifelike animal behind museum glass, in every natural history film that uses lighting and landscape to tell a story, in every conservation campaign that begins with a photograph. His techniques are still used today. His dioramas remain the gold standard. But more than his technical skill, it was his shift from hunter to protector that defined him. Carl Akeley didn't just freeze animals in time. He redefined how humans relate to the natural world. He turned death into education, extinction into empathy, and silence into spectacle. Thanks for listening to Inventing America. If this story stirred something in you, share it, so the memory of those who shaped memory itself won't fade. Next time, a doctor with a dream of ice, and a prototype for modern air conditioning. That episode is The Fever and the Freeze.